Chapter 52, Introduction to Ecology. Ecology is the study of interactions between organisms and the environment from the biosphere, which is the global ecosystem that might deal with questions like how will global shifts in climate affect the outbreak of diseases, to landscape ecology that deals with energy, materials, and organisms from multiple ecosystems. How might mountains or hurricanes from oceans affect nearby ecosystems? Ecosystems include both the physical or abiotic and the living or biotic factors in an area. Consider fire. There are some plants that need fire to be able to release their seed and to be able to reproduce. Think about the water and the tides that control the areas where these little crabs are. Also, sunlight can be a factor in determining what types of plants and animals are going to be most likely to be found in certain areas. Other factors that are abiotic, like soil or rock, truly can determine some of the plant life and other organisms that are going to be found in an ecosystem. Both are considered when you think about ecosystem ecology. Communities include groups of different populations in an area, more than one species. How do different species coexist? How might competition between two species affect their dispersion and population size? How might one species provide protection for another? How might predation affect two populations? What relationships exist between different species within a community? Population ecology studies factors affecting population size and why it changes. A population is a group of individuals of the same species. What environmental factors help to maintain population size? And finally, there's organismal ecology that investigates what may influence the behaviors of an individual organism within a species. How does a frog's croak help it find a mate? Why do giraffes have the pattern that they do? Why do baby gorillas play? Those types of questions and other types of questions that really help us to think about the behaviors of individual organisms that make up a species, but that have a greater impact on the population itself. Those are important for organismal ecology. Climate has the greatest influence on distribution of organisms on land and in the oceans. Macroclimate includes large-scale differences like the intense solar radiation that can cause global air circulation patterns and precipitation. It's also influenced by temperature, precipitation, wind, the seasons, bodies of water, mountains, and other large-scale differences that influence how our climatic patterns are determined worldwide. Microclimate is a much smaller scale. Temperature, moisture, sunlight, wind, shade, pH, salinity, oxygen, rocks, soil, and other abiotic factors influence these small-scale differences that can affect these ecosystems. Ecology is an experimental science. Ecologists observe, ecologists wonder, ecologists ask questions. Let's see. Not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but there's obviously some autotrophs that are growing, but the movements that you see in the water are drips from above. But there were also two crayfish, crawdads, that were in here earlier as well. So there is both autotrophs and heterotrophs available in this little natural spring that are a part of this community. So we found one of those organisms crawling around. So you can see the crayfish right there. Here is a second one by that cacti type plant that's growing. It looks like a succulent growing in here. And there was a third larger one that seems to
right there.
Ducked away. Where's he at?
Right over here, right by the rock.
Okay. The one Addison saw, there's another small one over there, but there was a much larger one. So at least 4 different crayfish that we've seen in this natural spring area since we've been here. Okay, another interesting find. We saw one of these succulent plants in
the underground stream shed, but here's another one, only other one that we've seen on the path so far. So on one of the paths that we're taking, one of the trails that we're taking here at Wilson's Creek, I noticed that there are quite a few more of the cacti growing in this area. So in Missouri, there are several different types of ecosystems, so it may be that we've just happened upon one of those more glade-like ecosystems in Missouri. So there's definitely a lot more of the cacti located along this trail than there was previously.
So now you've seen a little bit of vocabulary to introduce you to the first chapter that we'll be studying when we get back. You've also seen an example of how you can make a portion of your PowerPoint interactive. And the next few video clips that I'm going to share with you are from some of the same parks that we visited on that exact same trip that we took in my family. And basically it just allows you to look at some other examples of questions that could be asked just by exploring nature and just what you can see, what you can actually take in, and how far you can go with it with this project. So remember, the point is to let you guys have fun sharing what you're doing already during your summer vacation, and just starting to know and see that biology is all around you, and to start thinking about the impact that what we're learning in class is going to have on what you observe in the world around you. So in this project, you're bringing the world into our classroom virtually. We can't wait to see what you guys come up with. We can't wait to share and to talk about what it means in light of the ecology that we're going to be studying, and we really look forward to seeing what you guys bring to class at the beginning of the year in August. So watch the rest of these clips and have a great summer.
As I walk on these trails in the national parks, I can't help but wonder, which species of plants are native and which species of plants are non-native. When I look around this pond, there's a lot of growth, and that seems like that could be natural. But it's interesting when you look for wildflowers that there may be one purple flower spotted here or there, but in the midst of all of this other growth. So it makes me wonder which grasses and which plants are actually coming into this area that are not original to this area. Sometimes we observe not just with our eyes, but with our ears. Kind of exploring this pond ecosystem, walking around the pond, I not only see some of the inhabitants here, like the dragonflies, like the algae, but I also hear like the croaking sound of some of the organisms that live here as well. And on the bank, I just saw a particular organism, turtle, that has come up out of the water. Maybe a snapping turtle, not sure, so I'm going to kind of keep my distance. But just a neat find, just walking along, looking and listening to what might be sharing this natural space. Quite different from the pond ecosystem. Here we have a stream, and we can see further up the stream that the water is not moving as much, and it's a little bit more stagnant. But as it approaches down to where I am on this bridge, there's a lot more rapid flow as it's going over the rocks. So again, you can't help but ask yourself those questions of, what would be the differences in one part of the stream versus the other, in the oxygen levels, for example, what kind of effect that movement would have on the ability for the water to have more dissolved oxygen in it. And then just looking around at the different types of plants and wondering about the different types of macroinvertebrates that would be hidden beneath those rocks. It's quite an interesting ecosystem.
I hope some of these examples have helped you with how to go about finishing up your virtual field experience. Have a wonderful summer, and I look forward to meeting each of you at the beginning of next school year.